came back, looking to take the record closer to 1.3 million. And on March 5th, he'd get a good chance. His start was very smooth, and the only sketchy moment came at 800,000, when he misdropped and then narrowly brought a long bar over to the right in time. That's where hyper tapping can help you. He ended up maxing out the score in late level 25. With 30 lines until the kill screen, Corian had just enough room to get 8 more Tetrises and finish off 1 more improvement to the world record.
Yes! Yes, I've fitted my world record! Yes!
This was a really great game, yet still remained 27,000 points short of 1.3 million. That score still seemed like a pipe dream. The only way to do it would be to get an earlier max out, and then match Corian's 8 Tetrises afterwards. And with Corian being one of the few hyper tappers with the skill to do that, 1.3 million was just a bit out of reach. A few months after Corian's 1.27 game, one of the strangest events in Tetris history took place. One day in June 2019, a man named Tyler Peach popped up in the Discord server. Tyler said he was from Germany, and that back in the mid-90s, he scored 1.33 million in a game of NES Tetris. This was a bold claim. For one thing, it was 60,000 points ahead of the current highest known score. And for another, the uncapped code didn't exist in the 90s. So how did he know what his exact score was? Tyler tried to convince people he was legit, but he came across as some random dude just making outrageous claims. So, to show his skills, Tyler said he would attempt to qualify for the July monthly tournament. And then Tyler proceeded to post the highest qualifying score ever for a tournament. Only a handful of players had ever achieved the 1.2, and Tyler just did it on command to show his skills. He immediately began doing live streaming attempts to break the score world record, and just days later, he achieved a score of 1.298 million, smashing the world record by 25,000 points. He maxed out in level 24, 1 level sooner than Corian did, and proceeded to match his 8 Tetrises afterwards. And while Tyler didn't use a webcam, it seemed that he too was hyper tapping. He was able to get his pieces to fly across the board. Who on earth was this guy? Were his scores faked somehow? Nobody knew for sure, and the top players had a variety of opinions. But there was nothing in Tyler's gameplay that screamed it was fake. The circumstances were just so weird. A legend from the 90s, who nobody had heard of before, coming back and crushing the competition. The story sounded too insane to be real. Well, months down the road, the truth came out. Tyler's scores were 100% legitimate, but he wasn't a real person. Tyler was actually the alt account of one of the best Tetris players in the world. He was the teenage prodigy, Joseph Saley. Joseph came onto the Tetris scene in 2017 and spent hours watching the game's 2 best players, Jonas and Corian. He learned a lot from them, and Joseph's skills rapidly improved. By March 2018, he achieved his first max out. By September, his score was up to 1.15 million. In less than a year, he had become a world-class player. However, there were still a handful of players who had a better score PB. But a few months later came the 2018 Classic Tetris World Championship. Joseph entered the tournament and played beautifully, defeating opponent after opponent and making it all the way to the finals. And what a surprise, the other finalist was Jonas Neubauer, the 7-time world champion. Jonas was heavily favored to defeat Joseph and take home his 8th title. In a shocking twist, Joseph swept Jonas 3-0.
There it is, Tetris for Joseph! And we have a new Tetris World Champion!
Joseph Saley was now a world champion. But despite that, he didn't have the score world record. That still belonged to Corian. So, in early 2019, he made an effort to take it, first passing 1.2 million, then 1.25 million. But he still remained a bit short of the record. And that's where he decided to have some fun. Joseph started streaming attempts to an alt account and built up the Tyler Peach persona. And even though he didn't do many attempts there, one of them ended up breaking the world record. So, he decided to roll with it, before eventually revealing that he was behind it all. So now, Joseph had them both, the championship title and the score record. But even beyond that, Joseph had one specific skill that no other Tetris player had. He could actually play on the kill screen. Joseph was a hyper tapper, and a very good one at that. He moves pieces quicker than anyone else. The kill screen kicks in on level 29, and in September 2018, Joseph became the first person to make it to level 31 on video. A month later, he became the first to make it to level 32. It was amazing. Kill screens are not meant to be playable, but Joseph was doing it. He couldn't go for long, but he was legitimately clearing lines in even full levels. He was even outsmarting the developers. Upon reaching level 30, the game's level counter appears bugged. Tetris's programmers did not expect anyone to make it here. Joseph was doing what was thought to be impossible. But as impressive as this was, it wasn't enough to get the score record. Joseph would still have to maximize his Tetrises earlier to really rack up the score.
Oh my god, that was...
And not only that, but he wasn't the only one gunning for the world record. Harry Hong and Corian, two previous record holders in the category, were interested in trying as well. And so, it became a three-way race between Harry, Corian, and Joseph for the first 1.3 million score in NES Tetris. Harry was the first to strike. In August 2019, he got a new high score of 1.275 million. This was short of the 1.298 world record, but those who thought Tyler P was cheating considered this score the official world record. Still, it didn't reach 1.3 million. Harry would have needed one more Tetris before the kill screen to push him over the top. Instead, maybe Corian could get the 1.3. He was the more recent record holder, and his personal best remained at 1.273 million. Perhaps his hyper-tapping skills would be enough to get him there. In November, Corian had a great game going. He got a max out in level 25, then landed 7 Tetrises, pushing his score past 1.2 million. After getting another Tetris, Corian was in position to crush his PB, and maybe get 1.3 million if he could just get one final Tetris. Corian got a massive long bar drought and couldn't get the last Tetris he needed. But of the 3 players, the one with the best chance at 1.3 million was Joseph. He'd already gotten 1.298 million on the Tyler account. He only needed a tiny improvement to get him there. Well, that December, Joseph found himself in nearly the exact same position as Corian. A max out in level 25 and needing one more Tetris for 1.3 million. This could be it, but the long bar had to come in time.
Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Joseph already had 1.3 million, but then he landed a Tetris on the kill screen. This move was only possible with good hyper tapping, not DAS. This gave him another 36,000 points and pushed him past 1.35 million. It was the first time anyone had ever gotten substantial points on the kill screen in a record, and it raised all sorts of questions. Was this move realistic to replicate? How many kill screen points could you get? And since he was past 1.35 million, could Joseph get the score record to 1.4 million? This score would have nearly sounded impossible just weeks earlier, but now there was a blueprint. We'd already seen Joseph get 1.3 million points going into the kill screen. If he could land a few Tetrises and get 100,000 points on the kill screen, that would be enough for 1.4 million. Joseph was the only player who could realistically do this, and a few months later when the pandemic hit, he decided to fully commit and make a push for the 1.4. This was going to be an intense grind. Joseph had to maximize points everywhere, both before and during the kill screen. For one thing, he decided to start on level 19 rather than 18. That meant the pieces fell faster, but it also allowed him to rack up more points, potentially 30 to 40,000 more than starting on level 18. And Joseph needed every point he could get. He couldn't afford to burn lines. He had to nearly exclusively go for Tetrises to maximize points. Yet, as tough as all this was, it was actually the easy part of the grind. The hard part was then scoring 100,000 more points on the kill screen. Joseph could score 1.3 million by level 29, but getting the last 100,000 at this speed was brutal. As fast of a hyper tapper as he was, the kill screen was still the kill screen. You're not intended to play at this level. And Joseph had run after run die after making it this far. Clearly, 1.4 million would require the stars to align. Well, that June, Joseph would get a chance. He got a max out in level 25 and arrived at the kill screen just shy of 1.3 million points. He'd been here before. Now, he had to make it to 1.4.
Oops. Hey, this world record though. Nice.
A new record, but Joseph seemed to barely care. It was still 25,000 short of 1.4 million. This game really illustrates the dilemma when playing on the kill screen. Do you try and keep your stack low to survive as long as possible? Or try to rack up points quickly by going for Tetrises? Eventually, Joseph found a solution. Why not just get to the kill screen with a crazy score so you don't need that many points?
Dude.
You got it, you got it.
No. It's not good. Oh my god. World record though. Dude.
This pace was insane. Even scoring just one Tetris on the kill screen
Oh my
would have been
God.
enough for 1.4. But
That
Joseph
timing
didn't
is so
survive long enough to
shitty
get a
of you.
Tetris. He topped out just 10,000 points short. Still though, clearly he was closing in on 1.4 million. It seemed like it could be just days away. Well, on June 14th, 2020, Joseph started a game on level 18 rather than 19, and set a score of 1.384 million. This was the highest ever score from a level 18 start, a notable achievement. So, Joseph stopped recording on OBS and uploaded the video to YouTube. But then, he forgot to hit record again and continued playing for the record. Joseph was oblivious to the fact that his gameplay wasn't being saved. And hours later, he allegedly achieved a score of 1.439 million. Obviously, this game can't be viewed today. He was streaming it
how
to a
did you just
Discord
level?
call though, and one of his friends was recording the audio of said call.
Okay, there we
You
go.
can hear people
Fucking
freaking out at what Joseph was doing.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 1.4. Oh my god.
But there's no video to go along with this. According to testimony from those who watched it live, This was a crazy game in the kill screen. It allowed him to blow past the 1.4 million barrier, but only a select few were able to see it. And even though there's no recording, Joseph knew what he had done and had accomplished his goal. To this day, he's still never gotten a 1.4 on video. The following few months in 2020 were a strange time in Tetris history. Everyone knew the record was 1.4 million, but it technically wasn't official. It would still be a big deal the first time someone achieved 1.4 on video. That July, a player named Scotto Bozo tried using RNG manipulation to crush the world record. He was able to use a task to predict which pieces would come and plan ahead accordingly. However, his score of 1.5 million was quickly deemed to be a different category. So, the focus was back on trying to break 1.4, and while there were many new players getting into the game,
I can definitely get to the boss fight. I don't know if I can do the boss fight there because I haven't
was Dog playing Tetris. In June 2020, he became the second person ever to achieve a score of 1.3 million. He was trying to get 1.4 million alongside Joseph. And while Joseph stopped playing after his unrecorded 1.4, Dog continued trying. He was perceived as the most likely person to pull it off. Dog was a hyper tapper like Joseph, so he had the ability to play for a while on the kill screen. And by that fall, his score was up past 1.35 million. He was closing in, and his next PB could be the one. In October, he managed to get a max out early in level 24. This was definitely on pace for 1.4 million, but the Tetrises kept coming, and by the time he hit the kill screen, his score was already at 1.367 million. He only needed 33,000 points on the kill screen. Dog playing Tetris had to hold it together.
That was... I could have done it there. Nah, fucking can't do that. That one was doomed.
He missed it by 14,000. This was still a new high score, but not enough to break 1.4. Even months later, the world had yet to see a score over 1.4 million on video. The combination of getting to level 29 on a good pace, and then getting enough points on the kill screen, was just too much.
How do I do this now? Because that's kind of weird. That shouldn't have happened. Oh my god.
Even though a 1.4 million score had very likely happened, there was still no video of one for the world to see.
Okay, it's
it
still
remained a
doable.
nearly
I just have to jump
impossible score that existed only as a legend. Now, you might think this is all a build-up to someone finally breaking through, but that's not what happened. No, something much bigger was brewing in the background. While much of the community was focused on trying for 1.4 million, little did any of them know that Tetris was about to go through a revolution. Everything was about to change.
That would have been really funny if I had done it too.
For years, there had been two ways to play NES Tetris: DAS and hypertapping. DAS was certainly easier, but hypertapping had higher potential. That's how players were able to get points on the kill screen. Well, by 2020, the game's demographic at the top level had shifted younger, and virtually all of these new top players were hypertappers. In fact, during that year's Classic Tetris World Championship, all of the players in the top 8 were hypertappers. It had taken over at the top level. But as dominant as this technique was, it was quite difficult. Not many people could mash that fast while still retaining good control. It limited the number of record contenders, and those who could hypertap sometimes developed arm and hand issues. Hypertapping was powerful, but it was still far from an ideal technique. So in 2020, the game's new generation began looking for alternative techniques to match the D-pad. The leading theory was to try using multiple fingers instead of just one. Gaming legend Flyheck had a method for using 8 fingers on an arcade button, letting him mash up to 30 times per second. He also had a modified method for the smaller buttons of an NES controller. However, Tetris players had to match the D-pad, and they struggled to adapt either of these methods. The D-pad seemed to simply be too small to use multiple fingers on. They needed a bigger button. That's where a player named Cheese found something brilliant. He watched Flyhex videos and a mashing video from Silverboxer, then combined them into his own technique. If the NES D-pad was too small of a button, why not use the entire back of the controller as a button? By resting a finger on the D-pad, you can roll your fingers along the back to push the controller into it repeatedly. This allows you to rapidly press the D-pad up to 4 times, or 5 times with the thumb at the end. That's just enough to move any piece to the far left or right, and you can reach speeds upwards of 20 presses per second. Twice as fast as Hyper.
This beginning is kind of annoying me because I fucked up because I didn't have momentum in the beginning because I stopped the moment I
As
used this
soon as
part
Cheese
instead of
found this
basically
technique,
going for it.
he knew it had the chance to break NES Tetris.
I have to do this
He had
dumbass
just discovered
timing.
Tetris' third playstyle, rolling. While rolling clearly had the most potential of all 3 techniques, it was also quite tricky to learn. Even though Cheese had discovered rolling, he struggled to use it for the first few months, but he still had a head start over other players, and eventually, he started to get good with it. By early 2021, he was using it whenever he reached the kill screen, and it quickly became clear that he was able to do things that nobody else could. Cheese wasn't just playing.
What was that? That
was thriving.
Stupid.
The best hyper tappers could last a few levels on the kill screen, but with rolling, Cheese found himself making it all the way to level 40. And remember, the kill screen kicks in way back at level 29. Simply put, the kill screen had lost its meaning. It no longer marked the automatic end of your game, at least if you were able to roll like Cheese could. By mid-2021, Cheese had the potential to take the score record, and thanks to rolling, his strategy was much different than those who came before him. His emphasis was less on maximizing points before the kill screen, but rather going as deep as possible on the kill screen while landing Tetrises. This meant he wouldn't need such a crazy score going into level 29.
There we go.
If he could then last long enough on the kill screen, he could beat the score record anyway. That June, Cheese played games to qualify for the July monthly tournament. On June 30th, he got a game that reached 1 million points by level 26. This was roughly 200k behind the world record, but Cheese knew he could make up those points on the kill screen. He reached level 29 and immediately misdropped a J-piece. This could be a death sentence for a hyper tapper, but for a roller, it was an easy recovery. And from there, the gameplay just got crazier.
Okay, wait, what is the stat here? Because I've never played this. I've never done the boss fight. I've never even tried to do it. Oh, so you collect the okay, I see.
$1.461 million. Cheese had just smashed the world record. He had just cleared 80 lines on the kill screen and gotten 5 Tetrises in the process.
Ah,
These
shit.
are worth about 40,000 points each, and were only realistic with rolling. For any top player who was still hyper tapping, this game eliminated all doubt. Rolling was the future of NES Tetris. So, throughout 2021, the game's best players all improved that rolling. Previously, 1.4 million was about the limit for the score record, but now, there was no telling how high it could go. Cheese had made it to level 37, but if someone could last even longer on the kill screen, or get more points before the kill screen, then they could beat the world record. The big question was, who would be the next person to do it?
Oh my god.
Well, Dog Playing Tetris was the winner of the most recent World Championships, while players Pixel Andy and Huffaluffagus came in 2nd and 3rd place. Meanwhile, Cheese was still an active player, and he was the best at rolling. All 4 of these players were top contenders, and they each had a good chance at raising the score record. However, in a surprise to most of the community, a player named Hydrant Dude moved into second place right behind Cheese. Hydrant Dude was more known for his contributions other than his gameplay. He
Oh
made
my
numerous
god,
raw
okay.
hacks of Tetris,
I gotta
and
remember.
later published
Laser comes
videos
from the
explaining
left.
game's code
Laser
and
comes from the
workings.
left. From the
Beyond
left.
that, he was also a good player, but not usually considered one of the absolute best in the world. But that changed when he posted a score of 1.445 million, because Hydrant Dude had developed one particularly important skill. He was really good at rolling, and that meant he could last a
Okay,
long
there's such
time
spikes.
on the kill screen. Now just 16,000 points behind the record, Hydrant Dude pushed onward. And in September, he had a game that entered
I gotta
the kill
check.
screen.
How many hits does this stupid thing need? Oh. Also, you tell the song is just fucking 5 seconds of static on loop. So that's 1 hit. And then the moment you hit him, laser comes from the left. Now. Another laser from the left. Oh god. Where am I gonna fucking memorize this what's playing? That's hit number 2, laser from the right. Laser from the left. What is hit number 4? So after hit number 4, you just kind of
At just over
glitches out.
1.1 million
Great.
points. This pace was nothing too special, and he'd need more than 300,000 more points to break the record. But Hydrant Dude decided to take a different approach now. Instead of going for Tetrises, he was going to try to last as long as possible. He would have to survive for probably 15 or so levels if he wanted to accumulate 300,000 points. But like I said, Hydrant Dude was really good at rolling.
1. Ah shit, yep, there we go. Where did I fly off
There you
to,
go.
man?
There's a 19 is that world record? Did I actually just...
2 years ago, Hydrant Dude believed 1.4 million would never happen. Now, he had just broken the world record with 1.464 million points, and he had survived all the way to level 44. At this point, it was seeming increasingly likely that 1.5 million was on the horizon. Although Hydrant Dude had survived so long on the kill screen, his pace entering it wasn't anything special. If he could score a few more points beforehand, 1.5 million could be a reality. Well, Hydrant Dude kept playing, and just a few days later, he got the pace he was looking for, 1.35 million entering the kill screen. This was nearly 250,000 ahead of the world record. After landing 3 Tetrises on the kill screen, and making it to level 41, Hydrant Dude finally topped out. But his score wasn't 1.5 million. It was 1.6 million. He had
Unlucky.
skipped straight over an F score and rolled the hexadecimal digit back to 0. This was the first ever rollover in NES Tetris history, and it was also a 160,000 point increase over the world record. Hydrant Dude had proven that he was no fluke. his Tetris skills were legit. But he also had some heavy competition. As more time passed, the top players got better and better at rolling. And by late 2021, Hufflepuff was making a run at the record. Huff was already a world-class hyper tapper, finishing second place in the 2020 World Championships. But once rolling became dominant, he made the switch in technique and was able to nearly reach 1.4 million. Huff was notably a very conservative player on the kill screen. He played even safer than Hydrant Dude, rarely going for Tetrises and just trying to survive. In November 2021, Huff had a game that reached the kill screen at 1.15 million. This was nearly 200,000 behind the record and didn't seem to have much of a chance. But then, he put his survival mode into full effect, and the level counter climbed higher and higher. Level 35, then 40, then 45. Huff had only landed 2 Tetrises, but he was somehow closing in on the record. A couple minutes later, Huff reached level 50. This was the highest level anyone had ever reached in any
How do I know where I got flunked? That's so bad.
52,
That is so bad.
His score, 1.676 million.
Oh my
A
god.
new world record for score, level, and points on the kill screen. His survival playstyle had worked to perfection, and it was unbelievable to watch. He lasted through 23 levels on the kill screen. Rolling had forever changed NES Tetris. Gone were the days of needing to squeeze out every point before the kill screen ended your game. Now, players could just survive longer to make up those points. How high could this score go? By late 2021, the Tetris community was thriving. This was the most active it had ever been, and there was lots of competition.
I think it
for the
moves
score
to the
record.
middle
Rolling
after you
gave
do
the
that.
players who couldn't hyper tap
So
a
I can
second
just
chance.
stop clicking
They
after
too now had
I
a
get
chance to
launched, I
snag
think.
the world record. And
Maybe.
even though the top score
I'm not
was
sure, because I
1.67
can't
million,
fucking tell where
it
I
was
get flunked.
climbing so fast that it seemed like a 2 million point game wasn't far away. However, over the next few months, it became very hard to track what the game's true world record was, all because of a practice known as vaulting. See, Cheese had a habit of playing games, sometimes even getting a world record score, and then only telling certain friends about it. Sometimes he did eventually upload his scores, and other times he didn't. Cheese gave various reasons for doing this: to better space out YouTube uploads, to make memes with his friends, and sometimes just because he could. So, we don't have a perfectly accurate record timeline, but we do know bits and pieces of it. In late 2021, Cheese allegedly achieved a new record of 1.7 million and didn't upload the video. However, it's unclear if this was before or after Huff's 1.676 million game, and we don't know what Cheese's exact score was. That being said, Cheese didn't vault all of his scores. He was an amazing player, and sometimes he had to play live, like when he had to qualify for a tournament. Since this was a qualifier, Cheese was just going for a decent score, not anything crazy. Well, 9 minutes later, he entered the kill screen at just 1.075 million. A good qualifying score, sure, but this was the lowest score at this point compared to any world record in the last 10 years. So, if he wanted a record here, this game would have to go deep. Cheese needed to pull off a miracle on the kill screen. For the next 13 levels, it wasn't looking like a miracle, but Cheese
I need to check where this shit comes from, because I don't have this shit memorized. Okay, so let's see. Left. That is the second phase, right? So this should be third phase. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so just stick close to the middle now. Okay, what about the last phase? Wait, this was the last hit? Oh shit, it was. Oh. Okay. There we go. I don't know, this level wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but like it's still garbage. It's like, I don't know. It's not that bad, but there is another level by this same guy that is like the biggest pile of shit ever, and I don't remember what it was. Is it Imagine This level? It could be. I don't remember what his other level is. GG's. Nah. What was this guy's other level? Oh, it was oh shit. Okay, I see. Oh fuck. Okay, never mind. I was thinking, oh yeah, what the fuck could it have been? Well, that explains it. Unlucky. If there was even like 5 seconds between, or not 5 seconds, if there was even like a tiniest bit like slower speed on the fucking objects, this level will be like a medium demon, because the issue is you can't outrun objects, right? Like the moment an object catches up to you, it's, or well, is right behind you, it's kind of over. Like, you're just slightly slower than the objects themselves. stay there. Ugh. Well, I beat